Hi, I'm Sanni. Coming up this week on the Forum, I'll be sitting in with Shay Glorius L from the New Lens Urban Mentoring Program. That's coming up this week on the Forum. Thank you for joining us. You are now watching SPNN's Forum. I'm your host, Sanni. And sitting with me today, I have a guest from the New Lens Urban Mentoring Program. His name is Shay Glorius L. Martin.
That is I.
Thank you so much for coming in and talking with us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So I'm going to jump right into it.
Let's get it.
Tell us, just give me the rundown of New Lens Urban Mentoring Program.
To put it in a nutshell, New Lens Urban Mentoring Society is a program for African-American males to mentor young African-American males from 8th grade till the time they graduate from high school.
Okay.
Constantly putting them in front of positive male role models, their peer group, and even our mentors have elder mentors. So we're like a multi-generational mentor program. So our mentors who are mentoring are also being mentored.
Okay.
We want to break the cycle of our youth not being able to communicate or relate to our elders. Our elders not wanting to communicate or relate to us because we seem so far off. Or not caring about that. And to create a united front around our young men who will be taking our places as we move on. And so it's a really, really unique approach to mentoring and the aspects of mentoring. A lot of mentor groups really concentrate on, academics, and that is one of our underlying goals, but overall, we're more focused on the non-cognitive skills that affect every aspect of life: confidence, focus, self-discipline, how to manage your anger, things like that, that will help you focus on math, that will help you be able to sit still for a 45-minute class while a monotone teacher goes on and on about whatever it is that you don't even feel will affect your life immediately. And to a certain degree, may be true. But it's about navigation and navigating systems that aren't necessarily set up for you. And so we accomplish a number of different things, but that's our primary focus, is to surround our young men with men that look like them, that are professional, that are positive, that have been there, have navigated those systems, and to help them. To throw that hand over the wall and say, yo, I know it's tall and I know it's hard and it's a climb, but we up here. Let us, grab my hand and let's roll.
So what do you look for in a mentor? When you guys are out scouting, what does a good mentor look like for the young man in your group?
Man. So we're just in our 3rd year, right?
Okay.
And so at first, the process was, here's our vision. To the brothers that me and our executive director knew, and say, yo, man, I think you would be good for this. Come on. Oh, man, that sounds great.
Okay.
And that was the criteria.
Okay, all right.
This is what we're doing. We think you'd be good. Let's go.
Right.
Since I became program director / coordinator or whatever, I'm starting to develop like what that actually means. You sometimes assume that if you tell somebody your vision, that they get it. Right? And and not get it as in they don't understand, but they get it and they're as committed, or they see the potential or whatever that you see. I liken it to, there's a scene in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, this Keenan Ivory Wayans movie where he wants to start a revolution, and he walks into this place called Black Revolutionaries, here now. And he walks in and he's like, we got to stop this, drugs in our community. And the dude is like, yes, we got to make sure that we're there for the brothers and show our community what it is. He's like, yes. And then he's like, now will you help me, brother? And he's like, well. Wait a minute. What does that mean?
I was with you
exactly?
until it involves some action.
Until it involves some action. So what I'm looking for now is brothers who understand that this is not a beat that you're making. This is not an art project. This is not a drawing. This is not sewing, yarning, if that's even a
Don't
word.
Don't be knocking the sewing.
I say this, you can't pick up a child's life and sit it down.
Right.
The reason we exist is the absence of positive male role models in young black men's lives. Whether you could say that's the father that's not in the home for whatever reason, in jail for whatever reason, Uncle T-Loke and them that are maybe in their life but aren't necessarily positive role models or whatever. So the very reason we exist and we're able to do what we do and try to do what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing is because of that absence. So you can't come in and say, yes, I want to do something about that. Pick this young man up and then decide, this, hey man, I didn't know it was going to be,
So obviously looking for people who are committed.
Who are committed to doing that. And our requirements are minimum. It's not anything hard pressing. We know people have jobs. We're not expecting people to shut down their whole entire life for it. But the very minimum that we ask for, we expect. And so what I've been doing is kind of like, okay, you have all the qualities. You're stable. You know what I mean? You got a good head on your shoulders. You've exhibited the ability to kind of handle yourself around the kids. We have them come on our Saturday activities that we do every Saturday morning, whether that be boxing, archery, tennis, physical fitness, poetry classes. We've done a lot, and so I'm starting to invite them to come to those, so they can see how it is. One aspect of what we do, see how the kids react to them, see how they react to the kids, any given situation. So what we do is, for the Saturday activities, we meet at Arlington Rec Center on the east side of St. Paul, and New Lens rents a bus. And no matter what activity we go to, we're all meeting there together as a group. So you get, 20, 30, brothers showing up all on something positive. And the first, like when you see us roll up, you're like, now wait a minute, now what's going on here?
But it's a bus though.
Right. No. But I'm just saying, like when we first meet there, some of the reactions are when we took,
you mean at the center?
No, just everywhere. Like, you see us pouring off the bus, and it's kind of like, oh snap, you know what I mean? Like, what's about to happen here? Because people aren't used to seeing big groups of us together being on something positive. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's super powerful. But anyway, I be bugging out still about it, but we meet at Arlington, and then we take our bus, and that bus ride, going to archery, going to tennis, going to physical fitness, is where a lot of the magic happens. So it's kind of like you're sitting on the bus, and maybe a couple of young men are talking about something inappropriate, and you get a chance to be like, yo, man, like, what's up with that?
Right.
Come on, man, like, let's have a good time. You know what I mean? Let's talk about something positive, blah, blah. And they're like, huh? They're used to being in the school halls and N-word this and blah, 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 and X, Y, Z. And teachers kind of like, just, hey, I'm not trying to fight that fight today or whatever. So just those little things, you get a chance to really talk to the kid and talk to the young men, excuse me, I'm trying to stay away from the kid term. You get a chance to talk to the young men and sit amongst them, and it ain't like, it's not like mentors are at the front of the bus and the kids are in the back, like
you're
we're
mixed.
all, all in there. And then when we do these activities, one of the things that I never liked is that when you're teaching or you're in you're bringing something to people, it is very off-putting that you're not doing the same thing. You know what I mean? So when we go to tennis and archery, everybody ain't blessed with that. You know what I mean? It's like, My first couple times, I'm like hitting the wall up at the top. I didn't hit the paper not one time.
But it's good to let them see you.
To see me fail, and how do I navigate failure, and how do I navigate frustration, how do I navigate that I'm just not good at this, and then how do you help this one see that just because his peer isn't as good as him in it, doesn't diminish his value.
Right.
Like, hey, you just happen to be better at this than him, but I can guarantee you he's better at something than you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like starting to take off those where he's not an athlete. He's not, his fade isn't Chris's mind. He don't have on J's like I do. So his value isn't as high as my dude that does, or a dude that has the gold chain, or the dude that has the girls. And it starts stripping away those things and say, man, you take people at human wise as valuable, and then take it the next step and see your brother as valuable because they're telling you that your brother isn't as valuable. And they're giving you reasons why they're not as valuable. Like, y'all aren't as smart.
Right.
Y'all not as prone to go to college or be successful. Y'all are more prone to go to jail and to fail and blah, blah, blah.
And that eats away at the community.
This is why I can't look at you as my brother and say, and be respectful, and why it's so easy to go in on you, or talk about you or whatever, because I'm being taught through TV, through school, through everything that you're not as valuable as somebody else. Right. So it's kind of like breaking those things down. And not just by lecturing, but by example. So here I go, I'll just take me for example. Here I go, I'm just a high school graduate, right? That's it. Because I was hired straight from high school to do what I felt I was going to be doing for my life, which was TV. And so here I am, this, 18, 19-year-old, like, all right, this is what I want to do, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be on TV and blah, 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 and, end up having, hosting a television show and also being kind of like helping produce it. And I was always good at editing at Central in high school. So I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. End up not doing that. End up getting real, always was into music, but end up getting into music, moving to California, working for the biggest record label in the world, and then coming back here on Faith to work with kids and like leaving that life behind. And I miss California. But anyway, and coming here and really finding the purpose of life in not things or status, but in what your purpose is. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, you can Google me and a gang of stuff will come up. And I'm like, dog, why do y'all think I'm here? And they're like, wait a minute, you was working for Universal Records, you was meeting Snoop Dogg and 50 Cent and all these people. I was just like, yep. You know what I mean? You was running into Jimmy Iovine and going to private parties with Tyrese and all that. I was like, yep. Why are you here? I got presented a question. Do you want a successful life or do you want a substantial one? Successful in meaning stereotypical successful. And I pondered that for about a month and a half.
While you were out in California? While
I was out in California.
So this question was posed to you while you were in the middle of it?
Yeah, and it wasn't posed by a person, it was posed in spirit, you know what I mean? Okay. And so, I'm coming home to my little mansion, and I got a pool in the front yard, and I'm in Black Beverly Hills down there, high wall, brick walls, palm trees. Like I step outside every day. My son would tell you almost every day I came outside, I'd be like, woo, California, wake up the whole neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like I was that happy to be there. And I was like, this could be the rest of my life and I would have no problem. And then I got hit with that question. And I was like, wow.
What was it, and I want to go back to the program, but what was it that started that question, though?
Very, very interesting question.
And then connect it to what are you trying to communicate to the kids?
I will connect it.
Okay.
So I moved to California based on me and my boys. We were a really successful music group here called the Abstract Pack. And we were in every magazine. Everybody's like, man, this is the group. They run stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's like, cool. All right, man, like, we can sit around here and be ghetto superstars, or we can move to California where we've already been opening up for acts, and we, this lady wants to manage us and blah, blah, blah. We could take this to the next level from Minnesota, son. Okay. So I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? And shoot, I'm 19, you know what I mean? I'm like 19, 20-something years old. I'm like, man, bump it. Like, if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it now. Right. Sold everything in my crib except for my music and my clothes, and moved to California with my boys. And then, you know, thinking I'm going down there for music, but really I feel like, as if looking back, God was removing me from everything that was distracting me, my hood fame, you know, and you got girl and this, that, and the third. It's like, let me put you in a place where you're not 1 in a million, but you're 1,000,001. Everybody's rapping, everybody's in the music business, blah, blah, blah. And I struggled for 4 years to even get stable, right? And then I finally get stable. I'm in this, like I said, I'm in this mansion, just bought a new T-top, you know, Firebird. I'm like, man, I'm doing it. I'm at the record label, like, this is life, this is good. Then I started volunteering. I started volunteering at a place called the Dream Center, right?
Okay.
And the Dream Center would take buses and go to the worst places in California. We're talking about Jordan Downs, Compton, Skid Row, and all these other places, and give out food and clothes and talk to children and talk to the adults or whatever. And it was a Christian organization, but they weren't pushing Christ down people's throats more so than people's needs. And it blew me away. And I would see, like, I would go to this place called Jordan Downs, like I said, and it was in like kind of like in I want to say Watts.
Okay.
Right. I may be wrong. It's been a long time, but it's called Jordan Downs, and I would go out there, and one week I'd be out there playing with the kids, and then they would come back the next week, and these kids, like, what they went through in this projects or whatever was horrible. Like, it was crazy. But every time they would come back, they would, oh, Mr. Glow,
Right,
oh, and
right.
we were playing, and I totally committed myself to it. And then after a couple years of doing that, and my son actually came and moved in with me, and I took him out there, and it started soaking in, like, man, like the troubles we have at home are nothing compared to what these kids go to. Like, the consequences, like, from death rates to everything is totally different. And I was like, wow. And so it really affected me, and it really changed my life. And then at one point, that's when I heard the voice or the question. And it was kind of like, Glow, you're doing really good out here. Your life is good, the volunteering and all that is good. What difference would it make if you change all of Southern California? Like, if your impact was so big that you change all of Southern California, but your own people, your own community, your own family, your own little cousins back home are making these same decisions to lesser consequence. You know, like, death isn't always on the door, you know, especially, you know, back then, you know, like 5, 6 years ago, but it's still the same. And I was just kind of like, well, everybody knows they can call Uncle Glow and talk to me, blah, blah, blah. And then that voice responded, would you call somebody for help or advice that wasn't even in town? Would you be more apt to do that, or somebody that's actually there? And I was just kind of like, and I felt like I was getting painted in the corner, like, where is this going?
Right.
And then that's when the question hit, like,
Okay.
do you want to continue to be successful? This is good, or do you want to substantially fill your life with a joy and a purpose-driven life that you couldn't, that's better than any mansion or any record label or anything that you could look at. And I was kind of like,
That was that life-changing moment.
but Snoop is having a party tonight, you know, whatever. And I did about a month and a half, and then I left.
Okay.
And I did it just on faith. I didn't line up a job. I didn't do anything. And I said, if I'm moving back to do this, then I'm gonna have you take care of everything. The only thing I'm gonna kind of establish is me staying with my pops for a couple months, which I never in a million years would have ever done. But I was like, that's the only thing that I need to have happen. And I did it. And how that connects with the kids is, I say this. I said, you're being told that success is this, that, and the third. It's the fancy clothes, the money. It's more through the music and what you see on TV, the empires and things like that. And I was like, and true indeed, that is a form of success. But true success comes in not accommodating somebody else's idea of success, but what you really want to do on the inside, what really makes you drive.
Come alive.
Drive. You know what I mean? And I said, so some of y'all got dreads not because you like dreads,
But because you
everybody else got it. Some of y'all talk crazy and cuss and this, that, and the third, not because that's really who you are, that's because that's cool. That's what the norm is, cool. And I said, the day you start doing absolutely what you're driven to do, what makes you happy, your life will change. And you'll look at almost everything different, if not everything. And I said, so true, you can Google me, you can do this, that, and the third, but I'm not a nationwide success. True, I'm an MC, I'm like one of the coldest in the state or whatever, but you wouldn't know that outside of St. Paul, Minnesota. But a few people that see me in LA or in Chicago or whatever that even remember me. But I am successful. I do what I want to do for a living. I drive what I want to drive. I live where I want to live. And you've never heard of me before, some of y'all before you met me. Some of y'all went to school with y'all mamas, so let's not forget that. But before this, you've never heard of me. But I am completely successful and I have a completely just purpose-driven, happy, joyful life.
You are watching SPNN's Forum, and I'm sitting with Shay Glorius L. Martin, and he is the program director at New Lens Urban Mentoring Program, and we were just in the middle of, I got caught up in your story.
I'm sorry, man. I got caught up in telling you.
That's all right. No, it was important for me to ask you that question because you keep talking about purpose.
Yeah.
And so you by you telling us that, you're already sharing the purpose behind why you're doing that, and you're letting us know that you have something to share with the kids that you're working with, and that message that you're giving them. And I really like that you're saying that, because when I think about the young kids, that's all they see, this idea of what success really is and what the world says success is, and that they have somebody who you had that choice. So for the young kids who want to be a part of this, and for mentors who want to be a part of this, do you have a website, contact information?
NewLensUrbanMentoring.org is where you can find all of these things. We are not open. We're not an open enrollment program or whatever. So we are based in certain schools. So right now we're at 5 middle schools, and like I said, this is just our third year. We're our third year in operation, and so our young men who started in 8th grade, they're now in 10th grade. Okay. And so we keep going back through these schools and enrolling the 7th graders. So at the end of this year, I'll be meeting with the 7th graders at Battle Creek and say, hey, you're eligible to be a part of this program next year. Whoever wants to be in. That's how we recruit our young men. Do you think that's something that in the future you guys? Well, yes. The reason you don't want to go like this is because, again, being in our third year, there's still a lot of things that we're learning and putting together. So another part of New Lens is that I, and along with my site expansion coordinator, Marcel Malakibu, we go up to the schools every week and meet with all of our young men that are in the program. So we sit with them once a week for an hour or so to check temperature. Hey, how y'all doing? What's going on in school? You know, X, Y, Z. And just spend some time with them in school, and then we check with that point person at school and say, okay, I just spent some time with them. They're saying this, that, and the third. Would you tell me what's behind the curtain? Is attendance maintaining? Where's behavior at? And if there's certain instances, then I call that person's mentor, or I talk to him myself. Blah, blah, blah. And so we have this thing, this little community that we're creating in each school. Okay. And so now we're adjusting. We're starting to get data to see how that impacts. Do we need to increase? Should it be more? Then, as far as mentors are concerned, we don't have the capacity to do this. Okay. So, so if we're dealing with 80 some odd kids, 80 to 100 kids right now. By next year, that'd be 140. And so we try to give each mentor 3 to 5. Okay. And so just those numbers keeps us kind of like we have to be at this. Okay. On a certain pace.
Well, thank you for coming out and sharing all
that
the information.
That was 25 minutes already? Oh, Lord. Y'all can reset this time.
Shay Glorius L. Martin from New Lens Urban Programming, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
My name is Sanni, and you've been watching SPNN's Forum.
That is Sanni.